Well, hello kids. This is your old Uncle Billy. It's Uncle Creepy, and he's going to read to you from his book, Punk, which, weirdly enough, is that the cover of the book is the exact same size as my actual face. So it's a little weird. I didn't plan it that way. And excuse my grizzled look, because I've got a couple of auditions this weekend, and once again they want me to play perverts and crazy old men, and, you know, no more of the ingenue roles, not for me. Where should we read? Well, let's start on page 50. Data Boy magazine sold sex without the sizzle. Even by 1980 standards, it was limp fare, the most radical images being shirtless guys in partially unbuttoned shorts, generic Beach Boys meant to entice whales into the bars. The people who printed the magazine were conservative prudes, but they didn't mind the half-naked boys or notice the ads soliciting sex in the middle of the magazine. No, they pitched a fit and stopped the presses when they saw the word fuck in one of my columns. Dave Hodgson, he was the editor of Data Boy, hit the roof. After all, he was the editor and was supposed to at least be reading the stuff that went into the magazine. I don't think I've even read this book. I'd been using profanity from the start practically. After that incident, Dave took more interest in the magazine. It became filled with regular columns from a number of different people. Steph's stories written by a typesetter that replaced Judy Z. Larry Scantlin's sports column, The Ruminations of Life in WeHo, The Tempest. The magazine had become more energized. I enjoyed lots of good times in conjunction with the magazine, which had a circulation of 25,000, despite my resistance to West Hollywood culture. I was enlisted as a fluffer for the second Superman pageant. That was Dave Hodgson's continuation of the Groovy Guy contest that attracted thousands to the bar-hosted events. Thrilled to the dulcet tones of Rudy de la Moore at Casito del Campo. He's absolutely the best piano bar entertainer I ever saw. Happily downed free drinks at some early adult gay film awards, and attended the opening night at the Hollywood Spa, leaving just as the police bum rushed the place, arresting people for indecent exposure. In a bathhouse! Overall, I tended to avoid the West Hollywood crowd. It was so homogenized. Instead, I got to know some of the older guys that hugged the bar at the Doppelganger in Northridge, a shotgun joint far out in the valley. Married, 2.3 kids, super normal looking, not at all effeminate. These middle-aged guys were trapped between the margins. It was too late for them to experience young love. They had their lives set in stone with teen kids that didn't know daddy was gay. Jovial, open, successful, these gentlemen were painfully aware of what it was they missed out on. It was playing out before their very eyes. Life couldn't have been more cruel. I watched as a few of them fell into an alcoholic fog, chasing their inner youth, leaving families and careers in a shambles. A successful realtor in his early 40s who hung out at the Doppelganger was especially gregarious, taking a bunch of us young guys out to lavish dinners, sailing on his yacht in Marina del Rey, buying shots, and generally being a kept boy magnet. He was way too old for me, so we remained friends while I watched the vampires drain his very existence. After about a year of this, he came up to me in a bar in Reseda. I've had it with this town. I got fired a few months ago, lost my home, and now I'm moving to San Francisco where friends offered me a job. Can you give me a ride to the bus station early tomorrow morning, Billy? You're the only person I can trust to show up. What you can have so readily as a young person will cost an older man everything he has, and it still won't be enough. You got to get it when you're young, baby. You got to get it when you're young. Take it from me. No one will take it from me anymore, but... In February 1981, sitting at my drafting table, staring at a phalanx of naked membos, Larry Scantlin dropped an envelope in front of me. It was a letter from Michael Ely and Spider Taylor, who were in a band called Hey Taxi, inviting me to a gig downtown on 1st and Alameda at a place called the Brave Dog. It wasn't just a common correspondence, more of a collage with campy pictures from magazines pasted to the paper. I'd just cut my finger with an X-Acto blade, so I wrote back to Michael in blood, told him I'd be there on Friday night, the 13th of February. Hardcore, right? What I learned later but never fully absorbed at the time was that Michael, Spider, and bandmates Marco and John Tagliavia were openly gay in an environment where that was decidedly uncool. A scene where raw-nerved punk musicians were defining an art rock scene pillared by performance spaces that came and went in the blink of an eye. Determined not to fully succumb but recognizing a short window of opportunity, I roamed the clubs almost every night, gravitating to the darkest spot, leaning back and letting a beer hang loosely from my right hand. I observed the boys from Guns N' Roses in the clubs lying in a pile by the wall. they would just be lying there on the floor, like on top of each other, just lying on by the wall. It's very odd. Ate late night breakfast at Duke's coffee shop after a show at the Roxy or the Whiskey. Watched Edward Culver on the sidelines taking photos. Talked at the Brave Dog with Rod Para, who played young Kwai Chang Kang on Kung Fu and Grasshopper. He was studying acting and directing with Stella Adler at the time. And I tolerated the greasy eats at the Rock and Roll Denny's on Sunset in Hollywood. I'd always had a good job, so money was rarely an issue the way it was for just about everybody else orbiting the underground. You know what they say, a fool and his money are soon partying. Now, I'm not going to get into this next story, forget that. Children, it's bedtime, and I'm sure I bored you to sleep already. So just take it from me, get the book with my face on it, used to be my face, called Punk by Billy Ingram. Now on sale Amazon and in bookstores everywhere. Love ya.